Today we're going to look back at Devin Larratt versus Denis CYPLENKOV. I think that this will give us a really good example of why ERMES should theoretically destroy Denis CYPLENKOV. Now, in this match, I think that the most important moments is right here at the beginning, and this is what is going to translate to the ERMES match. So notice how right off the start of the match, Denis initiates with a dragging style back pressure. He's not fighting for heights. You can see right here that Devin's knuckle is much higher than Denis's knuckle. So Denis is surrendering the high knuckle grip. He's surrendering the post or height in this match to Devin. And right off the go, Denis begins to drag backward and he actually starts to open Devin's bicep. And notice that Devin feels this. He feels, okay, my elbow flexion is not quite strong enough in order to just sit here and stonewall Denis. So he actually follows with his elbow. You can see his elbow right down here moves as Denis drags back. Even still, Devin's elbow flexors open just a little bit. So what happens now is instead of Devin being in a super ideal position where his forearm is nearly vertical and he has a really good opportunity to climb and adjust, Denis's forearm is at a pretty similar angle as Devin's. So Devin is controlling the high spot. His knuckle is slightly higher than Denis's, but it's not by that much. And part of that is because his elbow flexor gets stretched out. And then we move to this other angle and you see again, Devin even makes one more slight adjustment. He's following Denis. Denis moves a little bit sideways. Devin moves with him because he doesn't want his elbow flexor to get stretched out. So Devin is not in the greatest position here, but he still has just a slight amount of height on Denis. And he's able to start doing his strategy where he blasts through Denis's arm over and over again. He gasses him out by doing this. And then eventually, even here, you can still see that his elbow flexor is getting stretched out a decent amount as he's hitting. Like right here. That's not the most ideal angle for your elbow flexor. Ideally, you would want your fist to be much closer to your shoulder to initiate side pressure and so you're not getting opened up. But Devin makes it work, and then eventually he is able to start coming forward. The thing is, if Devin had, say, 10 to 20% more elbow flexion, he probably wouldn't have had to do this in quite the same way. If we back up here to the beginning, say that Devin's elbow flexor did not get stretched out and he was actually just able to post up and over the top of Denis a little bit more so, he probably could have climbed and supinated and just totally gotten way over the top of Denis's thumb, way over the top of his hand. And this would have made the rest of his strategy way easier. He would have been in a way more efficient position right off the bat. And I don't think he would have had to do all of this work that he did. He could have, and it would have just made it even worse for Denis, but I think it would have been a lot easier match for him. Now, what ERMES is going to be able to do is this exact same thing. However, let's say that Devin has 70 or 80 kilograms of back pressure. ERMES has 95, and by the time the match happens, he might have even more than that. So this angle that we see here, this forearm angle, that's pretty close to horizontal. It's not very close to vertical. With ERMES, that's likely going to be much steeper. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up ERMES' ability to climb up and over the top. It's going to be easier for him to generate height because his elbow flexor is stronger. So Devin just had to do a lot of work that he wouldn't have had to do if his elbow flexor was a little bit stronger. He could have done the exact same strategy. It just would have been way easier and he would have been way higher up and way more over the top. You can see Denis's thumb is still sticking out there. Devin could have potentially gotten entirely over his thumb and it just would have been an easier day for him. So I think ERMES is going to do pretty much the exact same thing. Denis does not really challenge people for height super well in a match. He's probably going to drag back. I think he's going to initiate in this exact same way he did with Devin, where he drags back and kind of underneath. And that is exactly what ERMES wants. If ERMES could tell his opponent to do something that would make it a really easy match for him, he would say, grab me low on my wrist and then just do a lat drag backward. That's everything that ERMES would want in a match. And what it's going to do is it's going to give him full access to all of his 95 kilograms of back pressure. and it's going to allow him to climb and just pretty much do whatever he wants. And if he needs it, he probably will use it at some point. I think he'll be able to climb so high he probably doesn't even need it, but it's still technically correct. ERMES will probably transition to that press at some point in a pretty similar way as to Devin did. He just probably will be a lot higher first, so it'll look a little bit easier. But that's pretty much what I think about this match. Let me know if you guys agree with this, that this match is a good representation of how Denis versus ERMES will look. Now, ERMES still could lose this match if he tries to finish too early. There's a lot of mistakes that he could potentially make that would give Denis access to that crazy bicep power. And if he does that, he might be in trouble. But I think that if ERMES has either a perfect or a pretty close to perfect performance, he should win this match. Can't wait for this one.